Variability. Say that out loud. Variability. 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 Variability means the ability to yield varied answers. It can have different answers. So let's think about it, right? Variability. Where have we heard words similar to variability before? We live in Texas. You guys, the weather varies a lot. I'm going to write that down. The weather varies. That means the weather can be different. Hello, we were in basically shorts and t-shirts, and then it snowed 2 inches. The weather varies. The weather can be different. What we eat on a daily basis varies. Maybe you have heard the word variable in science. In science, the word variable, that term, that is what is different in an experiment, right? If we're talking about an experiment about plant growth, our variable could be water, a little bit of water, a lot of water, no water, right? Water is what changed. Our variable changes in science. Our variable changes in science. All right. So, because variability is a word that we might not hear that often, but we have heard words that are very similar to it and can help us kind of tie those pieces together. So, to yield variability means that if we ask a question to different people, we should be able to get different answers. For example, the number of days in a week. If you asked every person in your class, how many days in a week are there? Everyone's going to say the same thing. Oh my gosh, I hope we all know that there are 7 days in a week, right? There are 7 days. Does it yield variability? No, because everybody is going to give the same answer. If we walked into a restaurant and we asked the servers, what is minimum wage for a server? The minimum wage, at least in Texas, when I created this, was $2.13. And the minimum wage is the same for all servers. So it yields no variability. It's going to be the same for all of them. Now, if we ask those same servers at the end of the day how much money they made in tips, are they all going to have made a different amount in tips generally? Unless they're at one of those places that like split tips, but that's not the norm. Most servers are going to make a different amount. One person might say, oof, I only made $30 today. Somebody else might say, I made 120, and so on. So this does yield variability because they have the potential to give us different answers. Okay, our next question, how many siblings a person has? All right, if we ask everybody in our class, how many siblings do you have? How many siblings do you have? How many siblings do you have? Yes, we are going to get different answers. Some people may say none. Some may say one. Some may say three. Variability means asking a question and being able to get different answers, essentially is what that means. And we'll look at some examples in your lesson. The other thing we're going to take a quick peek at is describing data distribution, right? Looking at different graphs and just knowing, where is our data on the graph? We're going to look at 3 or really 4 keywords, but 3 different types of distribution: asymmetrical or skewed, clustered, and then symmetrical. So asymmetrical or skewed. Here's how I like to think about skewed especially. Have you ever had a kebab? This is an example of a kebab where you've got a stick and then you fill it with chicken or steak or tofu and vegetables, and you grill them. So tasty. Well, a kebab, there's usually more food on one end, right? This spot right here, that's where you hold on to it. So the rest of it's filled up with food. So there's usually more food on one end. Just like a skewed or asymmetrical graph. If we take a peek over here, we've got, I'm just going to kind of trace along the tops. There is more data on one side than the other. This would be like all of the food, and then this area over here would be like where we would grip our kebab with our hand. Same thing with this graph. We have a lot of data on the left side and then pretty much nothing over here on the end. And then our box and whisker plot. Okay, you guys, we know that each section has the same amount. So most of our data, 1, 2, 3 quartiles, that's 75% of our data is over here on the right side. That's significantly more. So skewed, having more data on one side. You can sometimes see it called asymmetrical. And for those of you guys that are in fashion design, maybe this would make more sense. Please don't make fun of my drawing. This is going to be really bad. But an asymmetrical dress, oh goodness, that's not very good. An asymmetrical dress, do you guys see how it went from short to long? Maybe like this is trailing on the ground. Maybe it's like really long. An asymmetrical dress has, it does the same thing, right? It goes from short to long. There's more dress on one side, just like we have more data on one side. So asymmetrical, again, we've got more on one side, just like a kebab, a skewed data where we have more food on one end of our kebab stick than the other. All right, so that's asymmetrical or skewed. The other one is clustered. We can see that there are gaps in the data and that a lot of the data is clustered around 10, 11, and 12, right? A lot of our data is here. And we have some on the end. So clustered is when, just like that, we have it clustered together. Okay. And then symmetrical, normal, balanced distribution. Just like we have here, can you guys see how it's got that orange line that's just right down the middle? Right? If we were to draw a line down our face, it's pretty much the same on both sides. And, it's not going to be exactly perfect, but it's pretty much a mirror image. If we were to take our graph and fold it down the middle right there, then we would be expecting for it to look pretty much the same on both sides. All right, so asymmetrical or skewed, more data on one side than the other. Clustered, they're just that. They're all clustered together. They're all in one spot, kind of just grouped together. Symmetrical, we can draw a line down the middle and fold our paper right down that line, and our graph should be pretty much the same on both sides.